Thank you, Chair. I've now sorted my paperwork out.
That is good.
I seek leave to move amendments 1 and 2 on sheet 8358.
Is leave granted? There be no objection. Leave is granted. Senator Lionel.
Thank you, Chair. These amendments represent a first step towards removing the ban on e-cigarettes. Currently, the Commonwealth's poison standard has nicotine classified as Schedule 7, which is for dangerous poisons. There are exemptions provided for a handful of products, including products packed and prepared for smoking, such as cigarettes, plus nicotine-containing products for quitting smoking, such as gums and patches. The states and territories rely on the Commonwealth Poison Standard when determining what can and cannot be sold. So because the Commonwealth Poison Standard provides an exemption for cigarettes but not e-cigarettes, the states and territories allow the sale of cigarettes but not the sale of e-cigarettes. This makes no sense at all. There is no evidence that e-cigarettes are remotely as harmful as cigarettes. In fact, a report commissioned by Public Health England concluded e-cigarettes are in fact 95% less harmful. And there's no evidence that e-cigarettes could lead to more people taking up cigarette smoking compared to the number of people who could use e-cigarettes to quit cigarette smoking. What evidence there is suggests that e-cigarettes would reduce the overall level of cigarette smoking. What it comes down to is this. Australia bans e-cigarettes because our public health officials have a chip on their shoulder. They're happy for people to use patches and gums instead of cigarettes, but they don't like e-cigarettes, presumably because vaping looks something like smoking and because the tobacco companies, which they hate, will want a piece of the e-cigarettes market, and I suspect also because they worry that people might actually enjoy using e-cigarettes. Either our public health officials need to get over their hang-ups or our government needs to stop taking their word as gospel. Comparable countries around the world have allowed the sale of e-cigarettes, including the UK, EU, US and soon Canada and New Zealand. And right now Australians are free to purchase e-cigarettes as long as they import them from a business overseas. They can't buy them in Australia from an Australian business. This is reverse protectionism. It hurts Australian businesses. It misses opportunities to gather tax revenue, and it prevents our regulators from regulating the sale of e-cigarettes for the good of consumers. Any notion that we can maintain this virtual prohibition policy once e-cigarettes become available in New Zealand is delusional. So my amendment would change the Commonwealth's poison standards so that e-cigarettes were classified the same as cigarettes. So whilst cigarettes remain exempted from the dangerous poison Schedule 7 classification, e-cigarettes would be exempted too. My amendments wouldn't commence for 12 months, which would give the Commonwealth an opportunity to make any regulations for e-cigarettes within its area of responsibility and to start discussions with state and territories on the treatment of e-cigarettes in their laws. It's modest, it's a sensible and practical amendment, and I commend it to the Senate.